Do you often find yourself difficult to catch what someone says in English, or even you're feeling frustrated just because what you learn and what you study at school differs significantly from what you encounter in real life situations? So, today's episode, we're going to talk about something that we think very valuable, that is listening, how to enhance our listening to better understand what people, especially native speakers, when they speak English. And to talk about this, to discuss about this, I'm already joined here in the virtual studio with the one, the only, Fatma. How is it going, Fatma?
Hi, I'm pretty good. How's life going on there?
Doing great. How's everybody? How's it going there? All
All right,
right.
I hope everybody is fine today.
Yeah. Talking about listening, this might be something that the majority of English learners, suffer from, and even I myself
And this is
suffer from
common.
this listening. It reminded me of a little bit story before we start off,
Okay,
Fatma. So a
okay.
long time ago, I had an opportunity to right after I graduated from senior high school, where I
Mm-hmm.
studied English for 3 years already, and I had
Oh,
opportunity to visit one of the tourism place in Malang, that's Mount Bromo, and then
okay.
I had a chance to talk to native English speakers. What happened was that
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand what they're speaking when we're talking about people from the
I
US.
see. I
So,
see.
guys, because this is really valuable, make sure to stick around until the end. All right, Fatma.
Yep.
Anyway, what because you and I are going to take turn sharing all
Mm-hmm.
these valuable tips to
Okay.
enhance to better
Mm-hmm.
understand native English speakers. What do you say about this before we jump right into the first tip that you will give to us?
Well, before we start, referring to your story when you were in Mount Bromo and trying your best to what's that to make a connection with the native speaker of English, and you couldn't understand single word that they uttered. Yeah, maybe because the English that we learn in a classroom setting totally different what is used in real life. Yeah, maybe that's what makes us really frustrated in listening skill. Yeah, I guess, but don't worry, we have several tips to share here. And one of which that I can share with you is that, well, try to study natural pronunciation by exposing yourself to what's that, how the words are pronounced naturally by native speakers, just like what you did. Yeah, because maybe it was the very first time for you, you got frustrated because you couldn't catch any word, but by the time goes by, when you expose yourself with a natural pronunciation uttered by native speakers, I believe that you can improve your listening skills. And then you also can pay attention to how the word is stressed and pronounced, because language in spoken manner little bit different with language in written manner. In written manner, when you want to express question, of course you need to put complete grammatically correct sentence. Like when you want to say do you want to eat, you have to put the auxiliary as a question mark, and then subject, and then the verb, and then question mark to indicate that this is a question. But in spoken manner, sometimes it is not complete sentence. You just can say when I eat with the raising intonation to indicate that this is question. So pay attention to the word, how the word is stressed, and how what's that the intonation. Sometimes statement is a flat intonation, and then a question with using raising intonation. And the next one is try to notice how native speaker link the word. Just like what I like best from our previous episode, that just pronounce the word. I mean, not the word phrase, idiomatic, a break, a lag. It is written break and then an article and then lag, but just pronounce it as break lag. So we link it the end of the words with the initial word of another word. Just like another example is you and I. Okay, it will be more natural when we hear it in spoken language, you and I. Doesn't mean that you are going to pass away. No, this is the combination between you and I.
That's really awesome hearing the powerful tips of how to study natural pronunciation. But
Yeah.
before going to the next step, if I may say, if we that's what you said before, what's typically found in the classroom setting,
Mm-hmm.
completely different from what we encounter outside the
Yeah.
classroom setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, you said before, like a connected speech. In English, it's very common in everyday conversation, like the schwa sound, which is very common in the US, like the word to.
Okay.
At school, you might be taught, like, I am going to the store. But in real
Yeah.
life, it's kind of weird to say, like, separately, the word, to pronounce the word
Yep.
separately. I
Mm-hmm.
am going to the store. Instead of using that, often we listen
Mm-hmm.
from native English speaker, they often say, like, I'm gonna go to the store. So instead of
Yeah. Yeah.
saying I am
Exactly.
going to, they like it gets shortened. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna to
Mm-hmm.
the store. It's said.
Yep.
It's pronounced. It gets reduced to the store. I'm gonna go to the
Yeah.
store.
Yep.
You and
Yeah.
I,
Exactly.
Fatma,
You and
gave as
I.
example,
Okay.
or even with stress and intonation, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is very common because if we study independently, this also happened to me, Fatma. When I studied independently, I tried to pronounce the word as I found in the dictionary, but what I tried to pronounce from the phonetic transcription, for example, it might be wrong. So, for example, I still remember
Okay.
that I made mistakes from the word develop. So, long time ago, as I wasn't aware how to pronounce this word, I always
Uh-huh.
say I put like a stress in the first syllable, like develop.
Mm-hmm. Develop.
Develop.
And
It
it
has
has
to
to
be
be
develop. So it's stressed in the second
stressed
syllable.
in the second syllable.
Yep, it's stressed in the second syllable. Or even a different word may have different syllable. For example, the word
Mm-hmm.
photo, it's stressed in the first syllable, and
Mm-hmm.
photo, and then photograph, it's stressed in the second syllable.
Mm-hmm.
Photograph. Or even if we have like photographer, it's stressed in different place. Photographer. I want to be a photographer. I want to take some photos. It's such a good photograph, something like that. So this is the natural stress we uh, that we often need to practice listening to from real life English
Yep.
speaker. I think
Yep.
that's
Yep.
really amazing.
So,
Mm.
yep. Let's try to notice how the native speakers they put stress when they pronounce the word. All right. Next tips. What do you have, Jess?
It's a little bit deeper because
Uh huh.
if you guys have already acquainted listening to natural pronunciation pronounced by or spoken by native English speakers, maybe to enhance your listening skills,
Mm-hmm.
you may listen to like a TED Talks or
That
podcast or
okay. That
anything
talk.
like that.
Mm-hmm. Why? Why it is that talk?
Yeah, TED Talk, because this cover a wide range of topic and
Yeah, I
delivered
see.
by speakers from diverse accent. So
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
people who
Agree.
usually it's what is it, a prominent public speaker, they have a great idea and then they want to share. And what's interesting from this is that speakers is not only limited to English speaking countries but people around the world. It can be free people
Mm-hmm.
from India, people from Asia, from Indonesia, or even people from Europe. So
Okay.
they speak with their, what is it, their
Accent.
diverse accent, but yet
Mm-hmm.
they still speak understandable English or standard English that
Mm-hmm.
allow you to grasp diverse accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of train your sensitivity, ear sensitivity to what kind of accent this is. So if you're exposed to this kind of listening practice, not only TED Talk, actually, it can be a podcast or anything like that. Your ear sensitivity, you become more sensitive to what kind of accent this is, and the way how you listen to this is actually give you a lot of impacts to your version of English. For example, if you often listen to, like British accent, then the way how you probably the way how you speak is going to be much influenced by this kind of accent. And also,
Yeah.
a TED Talk, also, and another kind of program or anything like that, right? Used clear, what is it? Clear language. And
Hmm.
what am I supposed to? It's kind of articulate language, so it's clear. So it
Okay.
articulate in this case is acting as adjective. To articulate as a verb, articulate itself as adjective. Uh, in talk talk,
Clear.
people when they talk about their ideas, for example, uh, because it's delivered in formal way, so um, it's more clear and more articulate. I
Yeah,
think, yeah,
compared to the language which is spoken in real life, I think TED Talk is more clear.
it's
Yeah.
exactly because this
Yeah.
is aimed for people around the world,
Hmm.
so they must have standard English used by the
Hmm.
English speakers. So I think if you want to practice listening, I think just head over TED Talk or any other program
Hmm.
like that, and then just listen to that. It's really incredible. Do you have an idea to talk about this, Fatma?
Yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, that was what I was going to talk. What I was going to share. So when we expose ourselves to various kind of accent, we try to engage with various outspoken tags. So we can be accustomed to different accent and speech pattern. So yeah, uh, in addition to that, I think we also need to learn what's that language which is used in formal context, just like in seminar discussion, and then what else, lectures in a classroom. But in addition to that, we also need to learn the language which is naturally spoken in informal setting, just like in interview, in public places, or just conversation, which is, as we mentioned previously, totally different with the language we learn in the classroom. By the way, according to you, which one is easier for you to understand, the formal language or the language which is used daily by native speakers?
It depends on how you for the first time learn the language. If you learn the
Okay.
English language from school way, probably it's going to be much easier for you to to grasp, to catch the meaning of someone's utterances through formal situation, because you
Oh
learn it
yeah.
from school, right? So because if you learn
Yeah.
from school, it's quite formal, it's quite
Yeah.
what is it it's not as lenient as everyday in everyday
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation, right?
Yep.
But to really make you easy listening to to any English formal speech or presentation,
Hmm.
I do agree with what Fatma said. You need to surround yourself with kind of different accent, voices, and
Yep.
context, because for some
Okay.
people used to listen to American accent probably, and then you never
Mm-hmm.
listen to British accent. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it will may cause you like a confusion. For example, like the word can't in America,
British. Mm-hmm. In British
yeah, while in British it's often pronounced as
can be
can't.
can't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or even podcast in the US, and then it can be podcast in
Uh,
America, in what is it, in British, right? Or even
yep.
in another accent. So
Yep. But sometimes context can help us to differentiate between the meaning between podcast and podcast, can't and can't. Sometimes, yeah, context do play important role.
yeah, Fatma. But in relation to that, it reminded me of a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I practice listening to in the US, American English in the US, or
Okay.
British English in
Mm-hmm.
in Europe. The word I can.
Okay.
Come on, is it I
Okay.
cannot or it's I can? So because
Do
people in
it.
the US often say I can, it's get reduced.
Mm-hmm.
I can do
Mm-hmm.
that because it's functional word. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
While British people often say I can do that, and then for the word I cannot, I can't, I can't do that, and then I can't. So we need to be used to this. At least
Yeah.
we know, right? Because we are surrounded,
Mm-hmm.
we are surrounded with different accents or voices or even contexts.
Yeah. So watching that talks as well as listen to the podcast. Yeah, I think will what's that expose us to that diversity. What else? What else can you share to us, Jess?
Well, this is very practical, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you listen to English audio, you can
Mm-hmm.
practice to write what you hear. For example, transcribing what you hear can be valuable
I
exercise. For
see.
example, if you
I
listen to
see.
really easy basics and intelligible, um, what is it, English audio, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you may actually start listening from the very basics, like English for beginner or something like
All
that,
right.
and try to what is it? Try to transcribe what,
Mm-hmm. Write it down.
yeah, to write it down. For example, someone say you may pause sometime and then listen to that, and
Mm-hmm.
then right after you have written all of, maybe you're at for 10 sentences already, you catch those 10
Okay.
sentences. Now you can compare, because in YouTube, for probably now it has like a caption. So just click the
Mm-hmm.
caption and then try to compare what you wrote and what's
Okay.
available in YouTube. This kind of practice is really valuable because it will make your ear sensitive to English sound.
I All right. So we do not need to write the whole conversation or the whole talk, right? We can pause anytime. Yeah, yeah. Because we are learning, so we can pause wherever we want to.
Yes, exactly. It's not to be in such a good order. There's something
Mm-hmm.
that may be relatable to you. For example, if you listen to podcasts and then the sentence
Mm-hmm.
is really relatable for you, and then you feel that you're going to use that sentence someday later,
Yeah.
then try to
Mm-hmm.
guess what it's actually written, what's
All
actually
right.
spoken by trying to write down what you just hear. And this kind of exercise will help you improve your accuracy and also reinforces your understanding of vocabulary and grammar, because uh, you try to catch, okay, what vocabulary is this, because there's a lot of homophones, for example,
Mm-hmm.
which can be tricky sometimes. So by listening to the context, understanding the context, what's being spoken, will allow you to guess what actually the written form of this particular word and sentence. What do you say,
Right,
Fatma?
right. Usually, I tried not conversation, not YouTube content, but the one that I sometimes transcribe is that a song. Yeah, I try my best to when I listen to a song. Of course, that the song that I love, not the song. What's that? For example, a type of song or genre that I don't like. Of course, I'm not going to listen to such song. So I usually listen to the song by using headphone because I cannot what's that when I mean to listen it, right, not only enjoy the music, but when I mean it, when I want to learn listening, I put on my headphone and then I listen to the music and try to transcribe the song. And yeah, sometimes, yeah, but unfortunately sometimes I do not compare my transcription with the original one. That's what I have to do now, not only transcribing, but I also need to compare my transcription with the original text of the song.
Yeah, yeah,
What
listening to
else?
songs sometimes really, yeah, what is it, if you feel broken heart probably, and then
Mhm.
your emotion involves there. because
Yeah,
because okay, I want to use this word because this is really relatable to my condition now, for example. You may say that,
right.
and then I want to memorize this, okay, this sentence, this lyrics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Fatma, apart from that, if you love watching movie, apart from practicing writing what you hear, watching movie can be such a great option, because
Mm-hmm.
now movie now provide has already provided what is it, subtitle, that you may
Mm-hmm.
select what type of language is this. For example, if you're subscribing to Netflix or whatever your subscription is. But what I used to do, it's a little bit telling you guys about my story, how I practice listening through listening to movies or TV series
Mhm.
is that I watch the movie three times. At first, I watch the movie using our native language, our native
Mhm.
subtitle, and then I also watch for the second time. I try to listen to English subtitle in order to
Okay.
what is it to know the details of the movie, like this the humor, and I don't miss every single details of that movie. And last, I listen without completely without subtitle. It takes time, but I do.
All
If
right.
you enjoy watching the movie, I think it's going to be great because watching movie provides you with a lot of what is it context and expressions that you might not find in a classroom setting. Fatma.
So, watching movie in this sense is not only for pleasure. You intentionally do it for learning, right? Because you watch it three times. So the first time you watch it, I mean, like this. At the first time, do you watch the movie intentionally learn the language or enjoy the content of the movie, or both simultaneously?
I do enjoy what the movie is all about. I do not kind of
Okay.
deliberately trying to pause every time. Okay, I don't understand this, and then I pause, and then I try to find in the dictionary. It's gonna be
Oh, I
really
see.
tiring, right? So just
Okay.
enjoy. Sometimes if you don't know what the word is, what the sentence is, just you may skip it. At least you
All
understand the
right.
context, right? I'm really this year. I'm really what is it? I can't wait. I can't wait to watch my favorite movie. It's live action movie
Movie.
adapted
What's that?
from Avatar.
I
It's
see.
gonna be aired in
Ah,
2024. What is it?
okay.
2024 February. So if you guys,
Avatar.
yes, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and also I learned from that movie, Fatma, in a way,
All
from
right.
the
What did
animated
you learn?
version.
Okay.
The animated version, if you know Avatar Ang, it has a lot of series. So I complete watching all of those chapters. If you guys
Mhm.
are such a huge fan of Avatar, and even I remember, it still stuck with me. The opening and something like that. If you watch the movie and then you love the TV shows, it's gonna stuck with you. Like Avatar, for example, the opening, still remember water, earth, fire, air.
Oh
Long ago, the
yeah.
four nations lived together and blah blah blah. Before the Air
Okay.
Nation, blah 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 blah. Do you have any favorite TV
Yeah.
program or movies that can be such a good practice to listen? Anyway,
Yeah, I guess I love Avatar too. Yeah, but most of the what's that an English movie that I watch usually is about kids because I have to accompany my daughter to watch the movie. Yeah, it's just like Moana, and then what's that? The one with uh, magic eyes. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, but I forget the title. Elsa, yeah, the Elsa and her sister, right? Yeah, mostly Disney movie that I watch with my daughter. And Avatar is also our family favorite movie. All right. So, in addition, what just already share with you guys, the most important thing in learning English is that please be patient. Okay, it doesn't take a night to learn something. It takes a time, of course. You cannot. What's that? You cannot master your listening skills in 1 month, 2 months. No way. I guess, yeah, everything takes a process. So be patient with process and remember what just ever shared with you. Please celebrate every single win you already achieve, right? No matter how much the word that you can catch from the spoken manner, try to celebrate it because you are awesome. And then, of course, you have to be consistent in practicing listening skill. Yeah, I just knew it that watching movie can be done for many times, not only once, finish, and then move to another movie, like what just already did, or you still do it, right? You watch the movie until three times. The first one is maybe for pleasure, to catch what the movie is about. The second one, you need to watch the subtitle, the English subtitle, and the last one without subtitle, but you try to transcribe what is spoken in the movie.
Yes, exactly,
All
Fatma.
right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
patience and persistence are two prerequisites, right?
Mm-hmm.
To master any skills in the world, like speaking,
Mm-hmm.
listening, reading, or writing, whatever skills you want to master. So, there's nothing happen only overnight. If
Mm-hmm.
you see somebody, Fatma, probably you think about her, how eloquent and how fluent she speaks English, for example, guys. You have to remember that how much time she had already invested,
Yeah.
even maybe sleepless night,
Exactly.
a sleepless night. So success is not doesn't happen overnight. It's a long
Yep.
process. It
Agree.
takes
Agree. All right.
patience and persistence. If you're not persistent, if you're not patient, things
Mm-hmm.
gonna feel that's things are gonna feel really hard because we're not
Mm-hmm.
patient, right? We're not patient, right? So that's
Okay.
really good, very such good advice, Fatma.
Yeah, I have a few tips that I learned from school when I was student, especially in listening a section in when we are doing IELTS test, TOEFL test, or TOEIC test, right? Yep. Yeah. Currently, the test present what's that? Both spoken, formal, and informal English. So make sure that you already exposed with the types of language. For example, the formal situation usually the recording take or talk about classroom setting, about lectures, it's about a professor explaining about the subject matter and so on. And the second one is about an environment, so apartment, rent house, and then weather and so on, as also and also public places just like in railway station, bus stop, and so on. So that's what's that typical topic that usually come out in a TOEFL test or IELTS test. And before you what's that decide to choose the answer, usually before the listening session we have several or a few minutes or few seconds to read the question very quickly to get the idea or to get to get the context what is the talk going to be. So by reading the question actually you can guess what the talk is going to be. And sometimes this is little bit what's that not precise, I mean not really scientific. So sometimes it happen in in listening section when the question is not, or sorry, when the answer is not what is spoken by the speaker. For example, you have several options, right? A, B, C, D, and is already spoken in the text. B is also spoken in the text, and C is not spoken. Sometimes the answer is C because it is not mentioned in the text. So this is refers to implicit question. Yeah, this a few texts that I can share with you dealing with tests in TOEFL and IELTS. And of course you still have many what's that tips that of course we cannot discuss it in several hours or in few minutes. Okay, we need long more discussion about it.
Yeah. So Fatma, guys, Fatma is such a great taste takers in TOEFL and IELTS.
Not really. Not really, I'm struggling in listening, but I try my best.
Yep, exactly. So if you're preparing for your test, I think what Fatma says is really relatable to you to practice listening, to read the question before start listening, to provide yourself
Yes.
with what is the understanding of what context this is gonna be, right? So yeah, such a great tips, Fatma, for you guys who are gonna take tests like
Hope it will
IELTS
be
or TOEFL
beneficial.
test. Yeah, guys.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, what can we wrap up for today's episode, Fatma?
Yeah, we have learned about several tips in improving our listening skills, and you already shared your genuine thought dealing with how to deal with our listening skill obstacles. Yeah. And once again, it takes time to what's that? To learn to improve our listening skill. Actually, not only listening skill, all skill need process. What do you say, Jess?
Exactly. There's adversities in any situation in learning any language, but
Mm-hmm.
patience and persistence are two keys that you cannot avoid in learning this language. All right, guys. As we wrap up today's episode of English In, we hope that you enjoyed the journey with us. And before we go, leave us your thoughts and comments below. We'd love to hear from you and may even give you shout out in our next episode.
Okay.
One, two, three. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Bye.
Bye.